These individuals were intimately connected with organizations now known to have been in the pay of the United States Central Intelligence Agency, America's #1 socialist.
If I'd been properly inquisitorial, I would have said, well, is it possible they're doing it to us? But it literally never occurred to me that they would do it. I thought it would be against their own interest and very much against the interest of what we were doing.
Two student leaders.
But I think the compromise here was minimal, and it was clear to me at the time that it could not be done without government money. If I had to do it over again, I believe I would do exactly the same thing.
I was very sick and disgusted, and I didn't even want to see the president, who was a good friend of mine, when he came back into the room, and it felt betrayed.
A labor leader.
The Guild has no knowledge that any of the money came from the Central Intelligence Agency or any other U.S. or other government source.
And a United States Senator.
Apprehensive, I found on looking over the list that I was something like a patron or an honorary member of the board of directors or something of that kind on about 6 or 8 of the organizations that were being partially financed by the CIA in my own case, so that maybe I think everybody may be somewhat corrupted in consequence of this action, and be possible to charge that I'm a front for the CIA.
This is a CBS News special report. In the pay of the CIA, an American dilemma. In a moment, CBS News correspondent Mike Wallace.
Good evening. The very fact of this broadcast is proof that something is seriously wrong, for whenever you hear about an intelligence operation in progress, that operation has failed. The past 3 weeks have seen a curious kind of domestic spy hunt, Americans exposing Americans. The magazine Rampart started it by revealing that for 15 years, the CIA has secretly financed overseas activities of the National Students Association. But then there came to light a fantastic web of CIA penetrations into other private organizations of American citizens. Tonight, we'll trace that web of CIA entanglements. Like all spy stories, this one will have its fascination. But we hope also to pose some questions for the American public to ask itself and its leaders. Questions about the atmosphere in which this almost comical intelligence debacle occurred. For a beginning, let's drive over to CIA headquarters. At the wheel, correspondent Roger Mudd.
Every morning, the Washington motorist who flashes by this sign, BPR, along the Potomac River Parkway, is reminded of the Humpty Dumpty quote from Alice in Wonderland. When I use a word, it means just what I choose it to mean, neither more nor less. And in Washington, BPR means CIA, neither more nor less.
Where are we?
Where you want to go?
Well, we're looking for the BPR.
That's over further. Make a U-turn here, go back up to a traffic light and turn right around 193.
Where am I now?
Oh, you're in a government place.
What is this?
Well, if you don't know it, I don't have to tell.
All right. So it's not the CIA, is it?
That's right.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
What do I do now?
Just make a U-turn around this light post here and go back up to traffic light, turn right around 193.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
This sign symbolizes the dilemma the CIA is in, how to operate a successful spy organization, but on money from a society which regards it with distaste. The result is ostrachism in its most schizophrenic form. It tries to hide behind that silly green BPR marker, and yet it operates in a building well known to every local tourist guide. Its 125-acre tract was chosen because of what Alan Dulles called its isolation, topography, and heavy forestation, and yet approaching airline pilots use it as a landmark. The building's original $30 million appropriation was hidden in the budget of another federal agency, and yet the CIA sent out engraved invitations for the laying of its cornerstone. Its director is called America's Master Spy, and yet his official stationery bears an elaborate CIA coat of arms. It is listed in the phone book under Central Intelligence Agency, but its switchboard girls answer with a mysterious 351-1100. It is probably the world's biggest spy outfit, and yet it actually once held a press conference. Its agents lead invisible lives, and yet one of them was actually sued in open court for slander. In short, the CIA doesn't know what it is, a ruthless, hard-nosed Cold War espionage unit or a warm, friendly, semi-democratic graduate school for scholars. But if it once decides, BPR, the good old Bureau of Public Roads, might be a good cover. Roger Mudd, CBS News, Langley, Virginia.
In truth, since its beginning, CIA has suffered from a personality split, for in addition to intelligence, the Security Act of 1947 ordered CIA to perform other functions and duties as directed by the President and his National Security Council. And that phrase has become a sort of blank check, authorizing CIA excursions into everything from simple propaganda to the overthrow of unfriendly governments. The key to CIA's current troubles is that unique American institution, the Tax-Free Foundation. Here is what happened. First, CIA itself set up a number of dummy foundations, calling them by impressive-sounding, if meaningless, names. Their sole function was to channel money from the CIA to a second kind of foundation. Now, these foundations were real, some obscure, some well-known, all involved in legitimate philanthropy. But now, in addition, they agreed to become conduits for Central Intelligence, mixing up the government money with their own, and then passing it on to the ever-growing list of private organizations which, during the 40s, 50s, and 60s, were climbing aboard the CIA payroll. Let's take a closer look at those legitimate foundations which became CIA payout agencies. They are among the 15,000 charitable funds that have sprung up in America in response partly to the social consciences of the rich, partly to the structure of our tax laws. They are the operative arms of what has come to be called the American establishment, the power structure of moneyed families, august law firms, prestigious universities, which have had so much influence in shaping American life and national policy since World War II. CBS newsman Norman Glubach reports on some of the foundations which channeled money for the CIA.
This building is 73 Tremont Street, Boston. Just under its windows lies the historic old Granary Burial Ground, last resting place of such revolutionary patriots as Samuel Adams and Paul Revere. The building directory doesn't list it, but tax reports of the Granary Fund show its home as room 329, which turns out to be the law firm of Hemingway and Barnes. No one there would talk before CBS News cameras about the Granary Fund, a reticence which has proved universal among the foundations. But Granary Fund reports are signed by George H. Kidder. Mr. Kidder is listed in Who's Who in America. Among his former associations, the initials CIA. Not far away, 60 State Street, home of two more CIA conduits, the Independence Foundation and the Brown Foundation. They do appear in the directory, in offices occupied by the law firm of Hale and Dorr. The late Joseph Welch, whose verbal duels with Senator Joseph McCarthy helped end McCarthy's career and his era, was a partner here. Paul Helmuth, trustee of both foundations, wouldn't see us or even come to the phone. For many years, CIA's financial secrets were safe with men and firms of such discretion as these. But suddenly, a new state law required foundations to publish their income and outgo. Now, under the golden dome of the State House lay the whole CIA story, just awaiting anyone who wanted to dig into the Attorney General's files.
Those files had become a time bomb, yet CIA never tried to defuse them by changing its operations. There, even today, you can see the Independence Foundation's 1964 payments to NSA and its president, Dennis Scholl, who knew of and still defends the CIA involvement. You can see that the Granary Fund in 1965 received $650,000 from 3 CIA dummies, transmitting the money to such beneficiaries as the John Hay Whitney Trust and the Retail Clerks International Association. Perhaps you wonder why it has become so easy for the press to ferret out CIA's financial shenanigans.